just for the sake of it, I would like to review these old movies with Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. So one it's Huckleberry Finn, the other two Tom Sawyers. I'll try to put the years in the comment section. Just to say that these are all DVDs. So it's really just for the fun part of it. These books have been favorite in my childhood quite long ago. And it's the first time when I see these movies actually, and I did like a lot the books, both of them. They feel like very adventure-like and also childhood-like. And the point with this video is whether these movies are worth, and also whether these movies are following the books. So I'm going to say that this movie has the, perhaps let's just rate them in my order of preference. I will say this one, it's the nicest movie to watch. This one comes the second place. This one is going to be the third place. Again, not the same book, but this one, what's really good is the child actors, and you can tell this one, the child actors are just amazing. Especially the main actor in the movie. It's really beyond the normal acting, and even more so for a child, and it definitely is entertaining the movie itself just for the acting part of it. It's something special. Extremely talented, extremely natural, extremely engaging acting also. From the kids, also from the adult, but the kids have the most part of the movie. Now, does it follow the story? Not really. I would say not even 50% of the actual story. Also, it has extra scenes that I don't remember reading in the book. The sets are very nice too. So this is really like an entertaining movie. Again, these are fairly old movies, and I think this one, is it really that old? I won't be able to see the date right now, but it's just pleasant to watch. It has a good rhythm, has it's just engaging, the movie itself. I did find that has interesting references to slavery. This one being the slave person. It's not really political or social, but it does give you an idea about what was back then to be a slave, to be chased and so on. So I think that part of the movie also, it's very revealing and very interesting to see. As for the raft scene, so we do have that raft excursion, if you want, on the Mississippi River. I did find that was lacking. It's just when I was reading the book, in my imagination, the raft was just much better, much I don't know, nicer to see or so on. It had kind of a cabin. It was just completely different in my imagination, and the raft in this movie was not as satisfying to see. The sets, the nature itself, the Mississippi River, it's okay, it's good, but it's not as satisfying in my opinion. So this movie still gets the #1 position because of really good acting, quite just the pace of the movie, it's nice and it's just entertaining altogether. This second one, this Tom Sawyer, I have a problem actually pronouncing Sawyer. When I was reading the book, I thought, actually, myself, I'm Romanian. I was reading in Romanian translation. For some reason, I do remember the name to be Sawyer. So Sawyer, actually, Sawyer, without the Y. But anyhow, that's just a side thing. This is old, rather old movie, and the actors again are quite impressive. Not as good as these ones, but still above average acting. So it's a pleasure to see them acting. It's also quite a, I would say, the friendship between the two boys and their kind of adventures are also very nice. However, the problem with this movie is that it doesn't follow the book, so you should not expect it to be like the book. The cave sequence, the cave scene, it's terrible. It's just very short and completely different. What's interesting in this movie is that Becky is Judy. Let me just remember, my names are not the best. Judy Foster. Becky is I would say, perhaps maybe 7-year-old Judy Foster. She's not bad. She's not great. You can tell she's not skilled at that age. Yeah, so that's perhaps one detail. The boys do still have quite a punchy acting, and it's interesting to see it for them. What is particular in this movie is that the sets are very revealing, are very interesting. The Mississippi River, it's just beautiful. You get that river ship, which has quite a few scenes with it, and it's in detail, and it definitely gives you a good feeling about those times, about those sets and that location. And again, the Mississippi River is just beautiful. And that's perhaps the reason, along with the acting, quality acting, why I did like this movie. I was just surprised to see that although this is a regular normal movie, it does have, I think, 4 or 5 musical scenes. I just did not care for those scenes. I just did advance the DVD at that moment, but just be aware, it's not a musical movie, but for some weird reason, it had those musicals. So it doesn't follow the book. This one neither. This one perhaps a little bit more. This one not really. Third movie, and I'm going to wild guess it's the oldest of them. The big part with this movie is that it really does follow the book. So the cave scene, it's really good. I was surprised. Now, do you expect it's a movie, I believe, from, I would say perhaps from the 50s. Oh, it's 38. Oh, is that possible? I don't know. It says 38 here. To me, it did look more like 50s. So the movie itself is not as engaging as the two others. The pace of the movie, it's, I would say, clumsy. And it's the typical, I would call this typical movie from the 50s. It's color. And I did not like the pace and the punch of the movie itself. The actors also, the boys, are way less better acting than the two other movies. And by the way, this one, at least to my eyes, it's not a red hair boy. I don't know if Tom Sawyer was a redhead. Those two are definitely, and I mean definitely, redhead. And this one even has a very funny haircut, and also a very funny face too. So it's not a redhead, and the acting is not, well, it's okay for a boy, for a child, but it's not as convincing and completely different than the two other movies. So that's not engaging. What is engaging here, and also I would say that the sets are not exactly nice. I don't know, maybe, yeah, let's not compare with other movies, but the sets are just not as sparkly as in the two other movies. But what is great here is that even though there have been quite a few years since I did write the book. It's completely following the book in every detail. I can tell you that the cave scene is very long. It has all the details, and Becky is average in this movie as well. I didn't really like her acting except in the cave scene. In the cave scene, I was stunning at the Becky's acting and also the directing. Her emotions, her scare, her basically some moments she really kind of loses it. She's like in shock mode, and she is way good for that role. I would just say that in the cave scene, there are a few moments where, with Joe the Indian, where I would think I would not let a child under, I would say, let's say 10, 12 watch that scene, because it's kind of creepy. It's creepy at that point. You see Joe, it's falling into a deep crevasse or something like this, and I believe you can even hear his body slamming on the rocks. Becky is completely out of her mind at that point, so it's creepy at that moment. And even I would say there is a moment when Tom, it starts to shake Betty a little bit too strong to my taste, because she was really losing her mind. And also the very last scene of the movie, there is, I don't know his name, but there's another boy, the one that was jealous on Tom, and that boy gets a big slap on the face. It's really the last scene of the movie, and that slap does look real, and so there's some sort of child violence, which I was surprised to see in the movie, but I guess it's another time, another era. So except for those last moments, almost last moments, it does very well with the book, but it's not as engaging, it's not as fun to watch. It does have something, I'm just trying to remember the facts right now, I don't have a script now. It does have something interesting though. It does have, especially at the beginning of the movie, a lot of humor, which the two other movies don't have humor in them at all. This one has someone would call this cheap humor, but at the same time it's kind of efficient. It kind of works if you don't have too high expectations, and it's just kind of does a little bit lift the movie, but it's not enough in my opinion. Maybe a good point is that the last scene, the very last scene with everybody, it's happy to have found Becky and Tom. The last scene has a table with 3 strawberry cakes, and those cakes look amazing. So even for the last scene, I would like to see it again. And also there is a fun part, sorry for the spoiling ahead, but I just could not resist. When just at the last scene, so the boys bring that treasure, and Becky looks at the treasure and then looks at Tom. I don't know if this was in book, but she said at that moment, looking at the money, Tom, you do remember we are engaged, right? So that was very nice to hear, but that's just, I think that's the best joke in the movie. The rest of the movie is not alike. So also there is no really rough scenes in the movie, despite the picture on the pocket. There is not just, is really not significant, and the sets are not that great. So there is really just following the book, but without having a punch like the 2 other movies. So all this, I'm not saying these are 2024 movie, go rent them or something like this or buy them. It's just for the pleasure of remembering basically a book that I must have read a couple of decades ago. I just had this pleasure of describing you these movies and maybe recommending them. And really very impressed with the child acting in these 2 movies. Definitely worth at least for that part. Thanks for watching.